So, welcome everyone to the Biddy Tarot podcast. I am super excited to welcome you to our special guest today, who is Heidi Nickerson. Welcome, Heidi. How are you doing?
Hi, Bridget. I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, Heidi is a tarot reader, a watercolor artist, and also a sound healer. Now, Heidi's also been part of our Biddy Tarot certification program, and you graduated in 2022, which is amazing. And now you're reading cards for local events. You're doing sound bars, which sounds amazing. And you're offering your tarot readings online and teaching classes in your hometown as well. You've also just created a tarot deck, which is the Yellow House Tarot. Congratulations. I know that that's no easy feat. And of course, you're on TikTok, and I just had a quick look at some of your videos, which are really great, just sharing your tarot readings. And you wouldn't believe it just by looking at Heidi, but Heidi has four sons at home, which is crazy. And oh, you live on a yellow house on the hill, surrounded by daffodils. That sounds absolutely lovely, with your high school sweetheart as well, and a dog named Lily. So cute. Well, welcome, Heidi. I can't wait to have a chat with you today about your tarot journey. But I would love to start at the very beginning and just hear what is it that brought you to tarot? How did tarot come into your life?
Oh, yes. Well, I was going through a very transitional time. Lots of things were changing in my life. I was leaving the religion of my childhood, and my sister actually sent me a tarot deck. I had never heard of tarot. I didn't know what it was. And and I yeah, I thought, what is this? What is this packet of cards and how is this going to help me? I really had no idea. But she suggested I just start looking at the pictures and trying to see my story reflected back through the imagery. And I started to see these aspects of my life, and it helped me kind of put together a story and a narrative that helped me sort through a lot of things that were difficult for me to process. Um, and then I was hooked and I thought, this is pretty special. And I wanted to learn everything I could. So I actually found your podcast and I learned a lot through that. I listened to everything. I binge listened to every single episode. And I got your books and I read your books. And then I just thought, I want to learn more. And so then I signed up for your certification program. And
Mm.
what I loved so much about that program was just the level of intuition, the way you taught us to really use the cards by using our hearts and not just the logic. And that really resonated with me. And but I never thought I would read for anybody else. That was not on my radar at all. But then I couldn't graduate from your program unless I did those 20 readings for strangers. At the end of the program, you have to read for 20 strangers, and you have it set up really beautifully where you can do that all online and the people kind of come to you. But I was terrified and I put that piece of it off for weeks. I'm not even kidding, Bridget. Like I zoomed through all the other content, all the modules. I just soaked it up. I could not stop. It was so incredible and I couldn't learn fast enough. But we got to that end piece where I had to read for 20 strangers. And I sat there for probably a week or two. And finally I just said, I really want this certificate. So I did it and I read for 20 people and the responses were so beautiful, and my readings were resonating with people and they were feeling heard and seen, and I was able to help them find the stories in the cards the way I had seen those stories when I was going through all of um this transitional moment in my life. And then I wanted to read for more people because it was so rewarding to connect with people like that and share stories like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you went in thinking, yeah, this will just be for me. And we almost like
Exactly.
force it upon you. No, by the end of it, you will be reading for other people.
Yeah.
And that is actually a blessing and a gift. And isn't it
Yeah.
wonderful that you were able to take that opportunity and then turn it into now what is like a growing tarot business, which I think is fantastic. Um, Tell me about like even that very first reading that where you finally made that decision to just do the reading and send it off and then receiving that feedback. What was that experience like?
It's amazing that you ask about that because I remember that reading really distinctly because I was so nervous and I still have a copy of that feedback. But I remember the way it's set up, you can see the question that people are looking to have answered, and you have the option of passing that question on to another reader if you don't feel comfortable. And I saw that this reading had been passed around a couple of times. This question had been passed around a couple of times. And I read the question and I could see why it might have gotten passed around, but I felt like, no, I really need to try. I need, like, maybe this has come to me at this moment because I'm the right reader for this person. And it very much was that experience where I just I just sat with it and I followed that heart and I followed that intuition and I found that story and I shared that with her and she said that was exactly the message I needed. That was exactly what I was looking for. And yeah, and then I couldn't wait to do more because I thought, wow, I was even able to answer a question that other people had really struggled with. So I can do this. I can really do this. And it builds momentum. It really does. And um the way it broke out of just reading, because you don't have to stop at 20. You can, with your program, you can keep reading, you can keep doing free readings and getting more and more feedback from people. So I kept going. I didn't stop at um but then I had mentioned to someone in passing that I was doing this, that I was doing these free readings online, and she said, "Oh, well, I happen to know someone that's throwing an event and they're looking for a tarot reader. Would you be willing to do that?" And I remember my whole body wanted to say no, but my heart just said yes. And I just found myself saying yes. And then we just did it. So that first reading, it really unfolded in a very non-resistant kind of way where I didn't have to chase it. I didn't have to try and make it happen. It just sort of came to me. Like, the timing was right and the preparation was laid, the groundwork was laid, and people needed this service and this perspective this unique approach that I had to offer. So
And so many people do struggle with like fear or lack of confidence when it comes to reading tarot for others, particularly. Like, what were some of the things that were coming up for you that were holding you back from going ahead and reading for other people?
oh, that's such a great question. I think one of the biggest struggles is, am I going to be right? Like, if they have a specific question, is this going to resonate and is this going to be right? And sometimes it's almost as if you can feel, sometimes a person sits down across from you and I almost get this sense of, show me your magic, show me what you can do, tell me my story, tell me what I'm thinking, read my mind. And there's this part of me as a reader that will pick up on that and I'll start to feed into, okay, well, I want to be right. And so I have to remind myself, this isn't a matter of being right or wrong. This is simply an exercise in exploring possibilities. It's just looking at pictures, it's finding a story. And what is right is to help that person find their own intuitive answers. That I don't have the answers. This deck of cards, they don't have the answers. This person has the answers. So I move away from this idea of trying to be right, and I center myself more into the concept of being a facilitator and a conduit and a guide, because those things can't be right or wrong. They're neutral. So as the reader, I'm neutral. And I don't have to worry about being right or wrong when I put myself in that centered place.
Mm. And was there a part of the certification program that really locked that in for you? Was there, can you think of a time where it was just like, ah, okay, mind blowing. Yes, I have a completely new perspective on how to read tarot.
Yes, yes. So throughout the course, you take us on meditations. You kind of take us into meditations into the cards. And that was really kind of the first time I realized, oh, this isn't just a matter of this card means this. It's more a case of, if I go into this card, what do I see? And it's always changing. The landscape is always changing. The picture, of course, is static, but when you imagine yourself in that scene, it is 3D, it's real. You can touch things and interact with things, and then everything changes. The whole world begins to change. And that was something that I learned from your course and that I learned through your meditative practices that you would guide us through, that really surprised me. And I think it really molded me as a tarot reader. Because even now, when I read for people, I've been dabbling into, when I pull cards for people, instead of just telling them the story or telling them what the cards mean, I actually take them on a meditative journey and I use those cards as the kind of goalposts of the reading. So that reading becomes a meditation. And of course, I add the singing bowls and I sing, and it's a really beautiful meditative experience. But I don't know that I would have thought of that, or that I would have arrived at that approach to the cards to make them so interactive without that example that I was taught with in the very beginning as I was laying the foundation for all of this. Because my foundation was built with so much of your you taught us to be intuitive. You taught us to go into the cards, and you made the cards places to go and not just something to memorize.
I love that, like places to go. Yes, it's like it almost is into a portal of what that
Yes,
full essence is. And it's
exactly.
so beautiful to hear that you're integrating that in such unique and powerful ways, like with your sound healing, but also, as a meditation. I think that's where things start to just like zing really, on this higher level. I'm really curious, like, yeah, what do your readings look like now? Because you've had the experience of practicing with others, you've started your tarot business. What does that practice look like in this moment?
It's really interesting because I feel like my readings have, it's almost like I have different types of readings for different types of experiences. So when I have a one-on-one client that I can work with for a full hour, it will look a lot more like, let's pull 8 cards and let's take this through a meditative journey with sound and singing and story. When I'm at an event where people are, sitting down and it's loud and it's crowded, there's a lot more just traditional, let's pull cards and let's talk about their meanings, and let's weave a story. Um, and also, when I do that, I typically start with a song. So I'll get out my singing bowl and I will sing, and then I can kind of emotionally connect to that person. And then we pull the cards and do a more traditional reading. But then this is also because of your course, because the very first readings I did were typed. I love typing my readings for people. I love doing tarot readings through the written word. And so I also offer written tarot readings where there's, questions that are preset or questions that they want to ask. And then I type up and I talk about the cards, and I have journal prompts, and then I tie it all together into a cohesive story in the last paragraph. So it's kind of like there are different approaches for the different situations that I'm in, but they're all really special and they're all really wonderful, and I love them all. They're all, I can't choose a favorite way to read. They all have special merit of their own.
Well, I love how you've been able to really make it your own, because that's something that we, cover inside of the certification program is how do you find your unique tarot style? And it sounds like you've done a really beautiful job of just picking out what feels really good and aligned for you, and then creating something that is really special and magical for your clients. I'm really keen to hear about maybe what has been one of the most memorable client experiences you've had, where you've seen a huge transformation in the person that you're reading for.
Oh, that is such a good question. Um, it's a little hard because you don't always get feedback. You don't always get people coming back to you and saying, this really impacted me. But especially at events, especially when you're just at a table and you're just reading for lots and lots of people. I think most often that happens, with the one-on-one clients. And I think recently, recently I had a really powerful experience. It was this idea of taking the cards and guiding through a meditation journey. It's pretty new. I've just started dabbling into that. I've just kind of found this new way of reading. And so I had a client that I was working with privately, and we had a whole hour. And I said, I have this idea that I've been dreaming up, and I would really like to try it on someone. Are you open to trying something new? And so I did that experience for her. And she was so moved. She said, I went places and saw things in myself that I didn't know were there. And I feel like she said, I unlocked my voice in new ways. And I thought that was incredible, especially because the Queen of Swords had shown up in her reading. And so that was really neat to have that unlocking of that voice. And I could see that that had impacted her and that there were things that she would carry with her from that reading forward. But it also really changed me. It changed me as a reader. I went to a place with her where I truly let her find all the answers. I like the Queen of Swords presented a sword to her and something was engraved on the sword, but I didn't tell her what that was. I asked her what that was. And things like that came up in the reading multiple times. She had pulled a Ace of Pentacles, and I had turned that into a seed, and I said, plant that seed and then you determine what grows. I didn't tell her what grew from that seed. She determined that. And I had never read quite like that as a reader. Usually I hand people a little bit more, but this I completely put in her power, and that felt really good for both of us.
Yeah, I think what's powerful about that is that you are in the process of activating not just your own intuition as the reader, but now you're activating that in the client. And that is just a huge like empowerment, right? Because that client can now step outside of that session, know how to actually trust their own intuition, make great decisions from that place. And you've
Yes.
been like the catalyst for that. I think that's absolutely huge, really
Exactly.
powerful.
And
Yeah.
it goes back to that concept we were talking about before of not being right or wrong and getting out of the way and just becoming that neutral guide for people. And that's powerful. That's a powerful place to read from.
Now, you also just touched on how like you've personally changed over the this time. I am really curious to hear like going from that moment that you decided to say yes to certification, which I assume would be around 2021, and now, what are we like 4 years later? Who have you become? What has changed for you?
Oh my goodness, so much. So much. Um, I've always been a stay-at-home mom, and I've always, just been like in that traditional role. I've never thought of building a business or creating something like more to offer and to give people outside of my home. And so that has been a huge change. That has been really exciting. And it's really fun because, my husband and my boys, after I've done an event, they always ask, how did it go? Tell me the stories. Tell me about a powerful reading experience that you had, because there's always so many amazing experiences. And it's just so neat to be able to share that with them. I've been able to watch myself grow in ways that I hadn't before, because I wasn't doing anything like this before. I was just kind of tending to home and kids. But now I have this other avenue where I get to really serve people in this beautiful way, and I get to pull in these passions that I have for singing and music and healing and storytelling and art, and it's just incredible. And then TikTok too, just getting on social media and building community and finding people that are also so passionate about this. And yeah, it's grown me a lot. It's changed me a lot. It even gave me this avenue for my artwork. I wanted to better understand the cards, and so I decided to create a tarot deck. And my artwork grew, my artwork improved. I expanded as an artist, because when you're done painting 78 cards, your skill has enhanced, and it's always more than that, because you're redoing concepts and redoing cards over and over again. So, yeah, it's grown me and changed me in so many ways. It's enhanced all of the skills and passions that were already there, all the talents that I already had. It enhanced, it grew, and then it showed me that I have even more. I have even more to give and even more to offer, things that I didn't know I had, new discoveries about myself. I didn't know I could connect with people like this. I didn't know I could counsel people like this. I didn't know I could help them see their own life story in these really empowering ways. I didn't know I could help people reframe their thoughts in ways that would make them feel emboldened and braver and stronger. And it's been incredible. I didn't know I could do that. And yeah, so it's grown me and changed me a lot.
I love it. I feel your passion and your heart so much. And it just, oh, it lights me up just knowing how much, positivity and empowerment and purpose and intention that it feels like it's really brought to you. It's amazing. You touched a little bit on your tarot deck, so I'd love to just jump into that. So tell me, what inspired you to create the Yellow House Tarot, and what is it? What's kind of the oh, I'm not very good with my art language, but like what the medium and how how's it made up out like anyway, you know what I'm saying?
I'm so yes, I'm so excited. It's such a passion project. I am so in love with this tarot deck. So, you know how earlier we were talking about one of the things you taught us in your course is to go into the cards. And I really wanted a deck that every card was truly a window, and there were no people and no animals. There were just windows into spaces that you could explore. And as you explored that space, you could find the meaning of that card. That's what I wanted to create. And I thought, well, what place do I know better than home, my yellow house? Everything in that tarot deck is something in my house. The Wheel of Fortune is a beautiful clock, and it's sitting in my living room. Things like that. It's the Five of Pentacles is, you've opened an oven and you've burnt the cookies and there's smoke billowing everywhere. So you step into a moment that gives you that feeling, instead of, seeing a picture of someone else interpreting or experiencing that moment. It really pulls you into the everyday experience of tarot. And that was another thing I wanted to explore. I wanted to see, when you start to learn tarot, you start to see it everywhere, and you start to say, oh, that was a 10 of cups moment, or, oh my goodness, I'm feeling a little Seven of Swords right now. Like, I don't know, I kind of want to hold back a little bit. You sort of have these life moments where you're connecting to the cards. And I wanted to incorporate that aspect as well. And again, this was something that I thought I would just do to further my own understanding and as a passion project. And I started kind of sharing on TikTok, like, oh, this is a painting I'm working on for my tarot deck. And then people started asking, when can I use this tarot deck? And And so now I'm in the process of, I'm submitting it to publishers, and I'm looking to actually put it out in the world so that people can use it. But yeah, it's been such an incredible project, and it's such a cozy deck. It's cozy and warm, like my home. I wanted people to feel like when they open this deck, they're walking through the front door of my home and being invited to sit down over a cup of tea and just talk. That's what I wanted this deck to feel like. It's a very gentle deck. The tower is a stack of teacups. The death card is a broken teacup. It's very gentle, but it's like a grandma, how grandma is so gentle, but she can go right to the heart of what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. And she's there for the ups and the downs. And it doesn't have to look, it doesn't have to look intense or scary or overwhelming. It's just because sometimes what we need is coaxing, you know? We don't need, sometimes we need to be called out. Sometimes we just need to be treated gently, and this deck treats you very gently. Very soft and gentle deck.
Oh, I love it. Yes, I can just imagine. Yeah, it is really beautiful. And I think you're right. Like, there are many different types of tarot decks, right? You can have your really hard hitting or like
Mhm.
dramatic types. But this sounds, yeah, just like a warm hug and like a
Yes,
little bit of a nudge in the right direction, which could be
yes.
absolutely perfect for different types of readings. Do you think that you're going to use it in your own readings with your clients?
Oh, absolutely. I cannot wait. Yes, absolutely. I am so excited to read with this deck. It's yeah, mhm.
Love
I
it.
can't wait to share that with clients. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we'll really start to come to life in that way. Yeah. Um, I am so curious, what else do you think is next for you? You've done the deck, you've started to build out your tarot practice. What's next for you in the next sort of 12 months or so?
Ah, 12 months, I'm not entirely sure. I'm gonna let it unfold. The amazing thing of this whole tarot journey for me has been it's been like the blossoming of a flower. You can't really push it or force it open. It just comes in its perfect time, but it does. It blooms, and it just seems to reveal itself as it needs to. And I do have 4 kids, and so I am really busy with kids and all of that. So I really just let it unfold very naturally. I just allow, I say yes whenever someone asks for something or wants me to be somewhere or share. I say yes. When people asked for this deck, I said yes. So I guess my plan for the next 12 months is to just say yes and hold space for the possibilities that want to unfold.
Yeah, I love it. And what would you say to someone who might be at that sort of at the beginning of this whole journey and considering taking the certification program? What would you love to be able to say to them?
Oh, I would say don't hesitate. Just go for it. Do it. Do it today. Right now is the perfect time. Right now. It's, yeah, right now. If it's calling to you, if that is your song to sing, if that is your picture to paint, you can feel it. It calls to you. Answer that call. Answer it. Don't question it. Don't doubt it. Don't be afraid of those 20 readings at the end. That's probably the most exciting part. Um, Answer that call. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And it sounds like that's what you've been doing along this whole journey is just saying yes, when you're being asked to step in, even if it's a little bit scary or a bit confronting, you like go head in. Let's just do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And I would love to just be able to share where people can find out more about you and all of your work. So you got your TikTok, what's your website? And of course, by the way, we'll have all of this in the notes. But yeah, please share your links.
Yeah, so on TikTok, I'm just Tarot Dawn at TikTok. That's just yeah, my handle there. And Instagram is tarot dot dawn because someone took Tarot Dawn. Hate it when that happens. And then on Etsy, I'm tarotdawn.etsy.com. And that's where you can buy my readings on Etsy. But yeah, on Instagram and on TikTok, I share a lot. I sing, I play bowls, I take you on guided meditations with the cards. I love to teach about tarot. I love to philosophize about tarot. I love tarot. So yeah, I'm just always having a lot of fun just sharing over there, sharing my art. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I have a beautiful community. Just the nicest people find me. It's incredible.
Yeah, well,
It's
like attracts like. I can just see like your pure energy and just your passion for everything that you're doing, and so poetic in the way that you talk about tarot. It's absolutely beautiful to listen to, and I'm sure that really filters through in like your social media presence and so on. So you also are doing like in-person readings. Where are you located in case anyone would love to do that?
I'm in Washington State. I'm in Kitsap County. Um, so yeah, that's where I am, and I love I love every type of reading. There really isn't a type I don't love, whether I'm writing it or singing it or meditating it or in person. They're all just so such a joy. Such every time I get to do a reading, I'm so excited.
Oh, I love
Never gets
it.
old.
Fantastic. Well, definitely check out Heidi's links and the Instagram and TikTok profiles because, yeah, I think they are just absolutely beautiful and lovely. Thank you so much for making the time today, especially with your busy family life. I know it's always a bit of a juggle. I know you got your kids out of the house and your husband, so gratitude as well to your husband for doing that. It's been an absolute joy to chat with you today and just hear, your journey, your story, and your perspectives on tarot, and just to see how, joyful and lit up you are when it comes to tarot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Bridget. This was an absolute joy and dream come true. I don't even have words to express how delighted I am that I got to meet you and talk to you and have this conversation. It's been so special, a core memory for sure.
Oh, I love it. Virtual hugs.
Yes, right back to
Beautiful.
you.
Awesome. Hey, if you loved this video, then make sure you check out this next video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.